Hello there everybody. Today we are going to be looking at a Staff Thief build post October 1st, 2019 patch. So Staff Thief is still in a pretty good spot. It's good for roaming. I don't know that it's better than using a Deadeye though. And it's great for small groups of PvP. So anything up to about 30 or 40 people, Staff Thief works really well. Past that, you start running into problems with like control effects getting you. You jump down and hit a shocking aura, you're fucked. You hit a line of warding, you're fucked. You hit a static field, you're fucked. So not great for any of the large group combat. You can still do it, but it's much, much more difficult and the results aren't as good as they are in a small group setting. So gear-wise, we're going to be doing a Marauder's Amulet, Marauder's Equipment, and Berserker's Accessories. On your rune set, you want to be using Scholars. On your staff, you want to go Force and Stamina. And on the short bow, Bloodlust with Energy. Alright, let's take a look at some traits. So in critical strikes, for minor traits, we have Keen Observer, giving you 5% crit chance. Unrelenting Strikes, which gives you Fury. And Ferocious Strikes, which gives you increased damage. The major traits you're going to trade are Twin Fangs, which gives you 7% additional damage on all critical hits, so long as your health is above 90%, and 7% crit chance so long as you're hitting people from the side or the back, which is much easier to do than it sounds. The way that Guild Wars 2 says is the side of the back is anything that's not in a narrow triangle in front of you. So all of this, anytime you hit anybody on there, you get an extra 7% crit chance. So fairly often, since your main AoEs are going to be Vault and your Jump, which have a very large range, you're almost always going to get that 7% benefit. You're going to be running Practice Tolerance, which gives Ferocity based on precision, and Invigorating Precision, which heals you for 10% of all critical strike damage, or 20% if you have Fury. The other option you can take is No Quarter, which increases your Fury uptime and gives you more Ferocity. This is a sizable damage increase, but Invigorating Precision allows you to stay alive without having to stay on top of your stack. So long as you have cooldowns available to deal damage or break stun, you can survive indefinitely with this alone. In Trickery, we get an extra 2 initiative when we steal. Our maximum initiative is increased by 3, and maximum damage is increased per initiative spent. So after 3 vaults, you gain 15% damage on all skills following that for 10 seconds. Your major traits are going to be Thrill of the Crime. This is mainly to help upkeep Fury. The Might's nice, the Swiftness is nice. You can run Uncatchable as well if you want to help to apply some extra conditions, but that extra Fury is particularly nice to have. I wouldn't sacrifice that. Trickster gives you reduced cooldowns on your heal, a stun break, and Dagger Storm. It also causes them to remove a condition. This is pretty important to use. You can run Bountiful Theft, and so long as you're making sure you steal on targets that have stability, it's a great way to get stability in the middle of a fight. But having that cooldown reduction allows you to cycle through your cooldowns better, which can help you to stay alive easier. On the Grandmaster trait, you got Quick Pockets. This means that whenever you are really in trouble, like you hit the fan, like shit hits the fan, and you're stunned and you have no cooldowns left, you can swap over to short bow and you get an additional 3 initiative that you can use to evade with your 3 skill, and you get a dodge from having your energy sigil. So you get a dodge and you get an evade. It can help to speed things up and get you out of a tight spot. Down in Daredevil, we have the minor trait Swipe, just garbage. If this was 900 range, it would be significantly better. 600 range, though, is really difficult to use. Weakening Strikes. Every time that you dodge, your next attack causes weakness. You deal extra damage to weakened targets, and they deal reduced damage to you. So pretty nice to have. And weakness is a really strong condition to have in the first place, so this can help out your group as well. And Endurance Thief, whenever you steal, you gain 25 energy, which is, again, pretty lackluster. The major traits are going to be Escapist Fortitude. Every time that you evade an attack once a second, it heals you for 463 and removes a condition. I was running Marauder's Resilience, but that extra 10% damage reduction and the vitality based on power is greatly outshadowed by Escapist Fortitude. After 3 seconds or 4 seconds, you gain as much HP back as you would have gained from this trait in the first place. So the only real benefit this has is 10% damage reduced versus continually removing conditions. Between the two of them, the continual condition removal is definitely stronger. Staff Master gives you 240 power when wielding a staff, and all of your staff skills restore endurance. So pretty bread and butter for Staff Thief. Same Bound, bread and butter skill. You get an extra 10% damage for 4 seconds after you dodge. Your dodges deal damage. They still evade. It's a leap finisher, which might not seem important, but it's pretty important when you're jumping through a bunch of light fields or water fields, because it allows you to keep up your cleanses. It allows you to keep up your boons and your buffs. It's actually pretty solid. All right, let's take a look at our skills here. Let's start with the utilities. So Withdrawal removes conditions and removes an additional condition. It has an evade. It's got good healing. It's got a great cooldown. This is a pretty solid skill. Here you have Shadow Step. You're going to mainly use that for engaging on the enemies. Since it used to be a 1200 range steal that you could use to engage, you would dodge and then steal. Now you're going to dodge and Shadow Step, which will look like this. Let's see. So you know how far it is. You have to kind of get this image in your head for how far that range is. And you can always cancel cast by right-clicking. So dodge, and while in the air, you Shadow Step. So you land and do damage at that spot. And then as soon as you land and do damage, you can start vaulting. Vault, bounce around a little bit. If you need to, you can Dagger Storm. And then watch your infiltration, because you can always pop back to where you were. So that helps you to get in, do a bunch of damage, and then get right back out again safely. And let's say that you get stunned or you get a bunch of conditions on you, you can just pop Shadow Step and it'll clear all of that. Roll for Initiative, removes condition, gives you 6 initiative, breaks stun, and it's an evade. Pretty solid skill. It also removes Cripple, Chill, and Immobilize. So between Withdraw, Roll for Initiative, and Staff 3, you should almost never get locked down in one place. So if you get immobilized down this build, you're dead. If you get stunned down this build, you're in trouble. Like you have to be able to hit these skills very quickly to get out of trouble again. The extra removing of crippled, chill, and immobilized on both of these skills is very beneficial for doing so. Signet of Agility gives you 180 precision, and it's an instant cast, 3 condition clear for you and any nearby allies. It also gives an additional dodge to you and all those nearby allies. So this is kind of nice to have. This is kind of an oh shit button, like you don't have any cooldowns left. You need to have an extra dodge to just give you a little bit of extra time until Withdraw comes off cooldown or Roll for Initiative comes off cooldown, or if you get another dodge or a little bit more initiative. This can save the day. And the extra 180 precision is just great to have. Dagger Storm, fantastic skill, has a lot of damage associated with it. It's a 3-second evade. Used to be a little bit better, but it's still pretty solid right now, and it's definitely better than anything else up here available to you. And onto your staff skills. So your auto attack is pretty good. Has 3 targets. It has good damage. The third auto attack skill, Punishing Strikes, deals a lot of damage. It reflects missiles. It's a whirl finisher. It's pretty solid. So if you can get off that 3 auto attack move, then you should do so. You'll hit anywhere from like 10 to 15k just on that third auto attack alone. Weakening Charge I almost never use. It's usually better to just follow somebody and whack at them. But the extra weakness can be nice for getting a little bit of extra damage out. It applies on each hit. So you can use this, let's say that you've dodged onto someone, you vaulted onto them, and they're low on health, but they're moving in a direction that you're not facing. You can use Weakening Charge to give yourself a second to turn your camera and focus on them again, and it'll still do pretty good damage. Your 3 skills for breaking Immobilize. I wouldn't use this unless all of your other options for breaking Immobilize are gone, because it's much better to save that initiative for an extra vault. It can be used though, and it definitely is viable. The little bit of extra evade on it can also trigger your Escapist Fortitude, removing conditions. So this is not bad, it's just not great. This is just bad. Your 4 skill is Dust Strike. It blinds targets in front of you, which is a complete non-issue. You would be better off just evading the people or dealing damage to them back, or using any of your other skills than using this. And the 4 initiative cost is kind of high as well. So this is something you're almost never going to use. Vault is amazing. If you have boons and you have your buffs up, like you can get 15 to 20k crits with this. if you land this on top of an enemy group, you can flatten like 3 people at a time. Excuse me, 5 people at a time. What's really nice is Invigorating Precision heals you for all that damage that you're dealing. So even if you only hit a 10k vault on one person, you're getting back 1 to 2k health. If you were to hit it on 3 people, that's 3 to 6k health. It adds up very quickly. Between that and bounce, as long as you're dealing damage, you're not taking damage. And since this is keeping your health at above 90% most of the time, because most successful hits will almost fully reheal you, it keeps up all of your traits in this line, like Twisted Fang or Twin Fangs gives you an extra 7% damage and an extra 5% crit, and it keeps up your Scholar runes. So this is actually a deceptively good trait. Again, you can run no quarter with it. That is guaranteed damage. Doesn't matter what your health is at. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just always going to go. This is more for upkeeping the bonuses that you currently have. And on Shortbow, you're pretty much just going to use Shortbow 4, 3, and 5. You could use 2 as well, but it is a projectile, so it can get reflected. Doesn't really matter if this gets reflected because it has an evade attached to it. This is unblockable, so this is great to use on downs. And number 5 is good for getting out of trouble. So usually if I'm in the middle of fighting somebody and I've jumped on them a bunch of times, right? And then maybe done a little dagger storm. As soon as it's over, I'll pull back, switch to Shortbow, and then start landing the unblockable poison fields on top of any downs that I've created. That stops the enemy firebrands from being able to MI them so they can't get right back up again, and it gives your team a little bit of extra time to focus on those downs. It's particularly good in group play. If you're dueling or if you're roaming, it's just kind of okay. The main important thing for Shortbow, though, is that you can switch to it and you get 2 evades out of it every time guaranteed. That gives you a little bit of extra breathing room just until your other cooldowns come down, and then you can start right back into staff pogoing around and regaining health with Invigorating Precision. Alright, so let's talk about the food here for a second. For your utility, it's going to be Potent Superior Sharpening Stones, which gives you power based on your precision and ferocity. And for food, you really want to run the Spherified Peppercorn Spiced Oyster Soup. This gives you at least 225 stats compared to 170 if you were going with a main stat, secondary stat food. So like you could run, regardless of what you run, you're always going to want to run the negative 10% incoming damage food for anything in World versus World. It's such a great bonus to have. It's crazy not to run it, especially because this food is cheaper than almost anything else anyway. If you're looking at it, like you could get 100 power and 70 ferocity, so 170 stats that are useful to you. This gives you 45 of each of those two, plus 45 toughness, 45 vitality, and 45 precision. So total you're getting a minimum of 225 stats out of it compared to 170 using the other food, which even though you're not using anything that does condition damage or healing power is still significantly better. The extra condition duration and boon duration, again, kind of useless, but having those extra defensive stats allows you to build into your build less defensive stuff. And toughness in particular is rough to get, no matter what build you're getting or what build you're using. It's just not a stat that's well represented with power until we can get things like the Demolisher Amulet stats from PvP transferred over. All right, so the way to play this is, again, really simple. You come up on an enemy group, you know you're 1200 range away, you dodge, jump into them, and then vault and dodge back and forth. All the way until you're out of stuff, and then you can either Dagger Storm, sitting on top of them, you still get the bonuses here, and then pop back out again. Now you have 35 seconds until this is reusable. You can sit on the outside and use your Shortbow, or if you have like a big group here and a couple of stragglers off to the side, I would just go after them with the staff. If you ever run out of endurance while you're fighting against an enemy group, or if you need extra healing, use Swipe. This will quickly get you to whoever it is that you're targeting, gives you a little bit of extra endurance, a little bit of initiative, and it gives you Fury, which increases the healing that you're going to get from your Invigorating Precision. But it's really simple to use. The one thing I would avoid is if there's a stack of 50 people in a spot this big, do not jump on that stack. There's going to be a Tempest in there. They're going to have Shocking Aura, and then you're going to get hit with 50 people at once. You just instantly die. So what you want to do is wait until your group has started to engage them, then jump into the middle and start pogoing up and down on anybody who's low. And that'll start to create downs for your team to capitalize on. So let's take a look at some gameplay videos, and you guys can see for yourself how effective this is. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments.
Slowly covering the light. Pull the trigger every night to stay alive. Hope is wishing, but you're running out of time. If I could only read your mind. Read your mind. If I could only read your mind. Read your mind. If I could only